Hello and welcome again to Sam Moments. There are many great ideas when it comes to activity management and best practices. But for example, the one I like was that I heard at a time management seminar. It went like this: work expands to fill the time available. Also, one of my favorites came from an industry icon. It was the first time I ever met Al Granum, actually in his office at the time in Northfield, Illinois, where he told me a story about Charles Schwab and who was talking with an efficiency expert named Ivy Lee. And he asked Mr. Lee for some advice. And Mr. Lee replied, before retiring, post and prioritize. Those are two very good activity management ideas. But when someone asked me one day, if there was one thing, one idea about activity management, your best idea, what would it be? I didn't have to think twice. The first thing that came to my mind was, don't give yourself a bye. Now, what is a bye? In professional sports, a bye is skipping around, usually because they're already qualified or because they're a higher ranking. In golf, frankly, I've used the word bye when I hit a drive into the woods or I drop one in the water. Though I think mulligan is probably a more accurate term. I've used that same term. Now, when it comes to activity management, I like to use the phrase, don't give yourself a bye, which means not to, if you don't reach your goal, your daily goal for something, for example, 10 prospecting calls a day, it means you don't get a free ride. It means that you have to make up those calls the next day by making 20 calls tomorrow. If your goal, for example, is one referral per day, to get one referral per day, if you don't get it, guess what? You have to do 2 referrals tomorrow, or maybe 5 for the week. Whatever your goal is, not taking a bye means you have to carry it forward to fit your timeline, whether it's for the day, the week, the month, or even quarter if you're using Brian Moran's periodization concepts. Whatever it is, bottom line is you don't give yourself a bye. Now, I have to confess, I first discovered this strategy when I was setting a personal goal, not a professional one. My goal was to do 50 sit-ups per day, or crunches, which I did for 2 or 3 days, and I stopped. So a few days later, I thought I'd start over. So I did it for a few more days, then stopped again. Until I figured out that it wasn't working. Until I figured out that the trick is I had to hold myself accountable. And that was by carrying it forward. So if I missed one day, I had to do 100 sit-ups the next day. If I missed 2 days, I had to do 150 the next day, or do 100 for 2 days in a row. Whatever it is, I had to carry it forward. Now, 50 sit-ups a day may not sound like much, but it's 350 a week, 1,500 per month. It's actually 18,250 sit-ups a year, which I actually did for 3 years in a row. This works so well that when I felt the calling to pray the rosary every day, I used the same strategy. That was over 6.5 years ago, and I'm still going. So here's my tip, that one thing: don't give yourself a bye. Thanks for joining me.